Some books arrive quietly, finding their place on dusty shelves. Others arrive like a thunderclap, demanding attention and challenging everything we thought we knew about ourselves. The Holy Tablets, authored by Dr. Malachi Z. York, is one such book. It is a work of considerable size and ambition, a text that does not whisper its ideas but proclaims them with unwavering confidence. Within its many pages, one finds a blend of languages, moving from modern English to ancient-sounding Arabic to a unique symbolic script called Nuwaubian. This linguistic tapestry is not accidental. It is designed to make the reader feel they hold something far older and more profound than a late 20th century book. The tone of the Holy Tablets is intentionally grand and sacred. It does not present itself as a set of theories or history. It presents itself as direct revelation, a sacred scripture for a new age. The central story of the Holy Tablets is a sweeping cosmic epic that reframes the human origin story. It begins not in a garden, but in the vastness of space on a distant planet named Risk. This world in a galaxy called Ilyun is home to an advanced race, the Anunnaki. Not gods in the mystical sense, but extraterrestrial scientists, engineers, and rulers with technology far beyond ours. Described as physical beings often depicted as giants, masters of interstellar travel and genetic manipulation. Their journey here was not idle exploration, but necessity and purpose. They came to Earth millions of years ago, drawn by rich resources, especially gold. Gold was not for wealth, but to repair Risk's deteriorating atmosphere. They found a planet teeming with primitive life, including early hominids not yet conscious or self-aware. The Anunnaki built outposts, began mining, but the labor was brutal. Their chief scientist, Enki, recontextualized from Sumerian lore, proposed a daring fix: create a worker race by upgrading native life forms. This is where humanity's story begins, according to the Holy Tablets. Using advanced genetic engineering, the Anunnaki took hominids and blended their DNA with them. Not simple creation, but a complex scientific procedure, elevating a species into Homo sapiens. Adam and Eve, in this telling, become a laboratory tale. The Garden of Eden was a controlled environment, a biological research station where the first genetically modified humans were developed. This recasting turns humanity from slow, unguided evolution into engineered descendants of celestial beings. It alters our relationship with the divine. Rather than purely spiritual creation, the book suggests we are literally, physically, genetically linked to the Anunnaki. The idea provides a powerful ideological purpose, a lineage ancient and noble, stretching back eons, connecting us to the stars. It suggests greatness, advanced knowledge, and spiritual power are encoded in our DNA waiting to be awakened. The author, Dr. York, who led a community known as the United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, positions himself as a scribe, a conduit for wisdom passed down from higher beings. The Holy Tablets does not confine itself to a single source of inspiration. It weaves together a complex and eclectic tapestry of ideas drawn from many cultures and disciplines. Ancient Egyptian mythology, Sumerian cuneiform tales, stories from the Bible, stories from the Quran, and modern esoteric concepts. It blends them into a unified system called spiritual science. No firm line between the physical and the metaphysical. No firm line between science and spirit. Energy, vibration, frequency. These are presented as the building blocks of reality. Consciousness can influence and shape the material world. A cornerstone of this spiritual science is the focus on sound and language. Nuwaubian, presented as humanity's original tongue. A vibrational code to unlock higher consciousness. Words as powerful incantations. Pineal gland, pituitary gland, described as spiritual antennae. Reactivation through meditation, chanting. A deeper overstanding allowing one to perceive realities beyond the five senses. Central to the book's message is a powerful Afrocentric theme focused on the role of melanin. The Holy Tablets posits that people with dark skin, or melanated people, have a unique and direct lineage to the original Anunnaki. Melanin is described not merely as a pigment that colors the skin, but as a superior chemical and spiritual conductor, a frozen light that attunes the body to cosmic energies and stores vast amounts of information. This teaching recasts racial identity in a spiritual and cosmic light. For a community that has historically been subjected to racism and told they were inferior, this message is profoundly empowering. It offers a counter-narrative where dark skin is a sign of divinity, a marker of a noble and celestial heritage. This emphasis on divine ancestry provides a foundation for reclaiming a sense of pride and identity. The Holy Tablets argues that this history has been deliberately hidden by oppressive forces to keep melanated people from realizing their true power and potential. The book, therefore, presents itself as the key to unlocking this lost knowledge. It encourages its followers to see themselves not as the descendants of slaves, but as the children of gods who have temporarily forgotten their greatness. For many believers, this recontextualization is not just a historical claim. It is a spiritual awakening, a call to remember their sacred origins and to rise above the limitations imposed upon them by a hostile world. The Holy Tablets is not structured like a conventional book with a linear narrative from start to finish. Instead, it is organized into a series of tablets, each one acting as a distinct chapter or book covering a specific aspect of its vast cosmology. This structure is intentional, designed to mirror the ancient records it claims to be restoring. The major divisions of the book guide the reader through its core tenets from the dawn of creation to prophecies about the end of our current age. Each section builds upon the last, creating a comprehensive if complex worldview for the believer to absorb and live by. The early tablets, the Book of the Seven Generations, the Book of Creation, lay the groundwork for the entire narrative. These sections detail the origins of the Anunnaki, their journey from the planet Risk, and the genetic engineering of early humans on Earth. They offer a radical reinterpretation of familiar stories: the Garden of Eden, recast as a scientific project; the Great Flood, presented as a consequence of celestial events; and Anunnaki politics. A significant part of the text, often referred to as the Enemies of the Gods or the Book of the Devil, describes a cosmic conflict. It speaks of fallen beings, rebellious Anunnaki, and negative forces that seek to mislead and control humanity. In contrast, the Book of Rebirth explains the concept of reincarnation, teaching that souls progress through multiple lifetimes, learning and evolving until they can ascend to a higher state of being known as the Nine Ether. Finally, the later tablets shift focus towards science, symbolism, and prophecy. The tablets of science act as a guide to the book's esoteric systems, explaining the spiritual significance of numbers, colors, and sacred geometry. This section provides the tools for what the book calls overstanding, a level of deep, intuitive knowledge. The concluding parts of the Book of the End Times or the Book of What Is to Be, deliver a series of prophecies about the future. They predict a great shift in consciousness, the return of celestial bodies like the planet Nibiru, and a final judgment where individuals will be sorted based on their spiritual vibration. Section 5. Deciphering the Code, a glossary of Nuwaubian terms. To navigate the world of the Holy Tablets, one must become familiar with its unique vocabulary. The book is filled with special terms and concepts that form the building blocks of its teachings. These words are a mix of repurposed terms from ancient languages, esoteric traditions, newly coined phrases. Understanding them is key to unlocking the text's deeper meanings and the specific worldview it promotes. One foundational concept: the distinction between two states of being, 9 ether, 6 ether. 9 ether represents the highest form of spiritual energy and consciousness. It is the state of perfection, pure, creative, positive force, associated with the original, benevolent Anunnaki, the ultimate goal of spiritual evolution. In stark contrast, 6 ether is described as a lower, degraded state of being. It is associated with negativity, materialism, decay, malevolent forces that seek to control humanity. The journey of the soul is a struggle to ascend from 6 ether and return to the purity of 9 ether. The cosmic geography of the Holy Tablets is defined by specific terms. Ilyun, not just a galaxy, a higher celestial realm, the home of the most powerful, enlightened gods. A place of origin, a divine dimension from which the Anunnaki descended. Risk, the specific home planet of the Anunnaki who traveled to Earth. A world in another solar system whose environmental troubles prompted the expedition to Earth. These names give place and substance, transforming abstract ideas about the heavens into a concrete, mappable cosmos with locations and histories. Finally, there are terms related to knowledge and language itself. Nuwaubian, the sacred script and language introduced in the book, presented as the original primordial language of the universe, a system of sound and symbol that predates all human tongues. The ability to understand and use Nuwaubian is a key to unlocking spiritual power. This leads to overstanding. This is not the same as simple understanding, which is based on intellect and logic. Overstanding refers to deeper, intuitive, spiritual forms of knowledge. A holistic comprehension that comes directly from one's connection to the divine consciousness. The Holy Tablets did not emerge from a vacuum. It is deeply connected to the life of its author, Dr. Malachi Z. York, and the community he founded, the United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors. The book's public emergence in the 1990s, which began years earlier in Brooklyn, New York. In its early days, the community went through several transformations, aligning at different times with elements of Islam, Judaism, and ancient Egyptian spirituality. The most visible and well-known era of the Nuwaubian Nation began in the early 1990s, when the community relocated from the urban environment of Brooklyn to rural Putnam County, Georgia. There, they purchased a large plot of land and began constructing a unique compound called Tama-Re, which means sun god's land in Egyptian. The architecture was striking and deliberately ancient, featuring large pyramids, obelisks, and sphinx-like statues, all painted in vibrant colors. This compound was intended to be a physical manifestation of the teachings, a place where the ancient Egyptian and cosmic themes of the Holy Tablets were brought to life. It became the center of Nuwaubian life, drawing followers from across the country. At Tama-Re, the Holy Tablets served as the central scripture. It was the foundation for the community's rituals, educational systems, and social structure. Followers, known as Nuwaubians, studied the text intensely, learning its special language, Nuwaubian, and adhering to its dietary codes and moral codes. However, the community's presence in rural Georgia was not without conflict. The compound became the subject of media scrutiny and legal battles over zoning laws and land use, culminating in Dr. York's arrest and conviction on numerous charges in the early 2000s, led to the eventual dismantling of Tama-Re. The reception of the Holy Tablets has been sharply divided, creating a deep chasm between believers and skeptics. For followers, the book is the ultimate truth, a sacred text correcting millennia of historical lies. They see Dr. York not as a conventional author, but as a master teacher and conduit for higher intelligence, tasked with restoring lost knowledge, especially to people of African descent. Believers don't look to archaeological digs or to peer-reviewed journals. They point to internal consistency, spiritual resonance, and the book's power to transform lives. It offers a complete explanation for the state of the world and a sense of identity both ancient and cosmic, replacing victimhood narratives with a story of divine lineage and untapped potential followers. Cite intricate details as proof. Complex genealogies of the gods, a unique language, a detailed scientific and spiritual framework, and they argue no single human could have fabricated it. Any lack of external proof is explained as a deliberate conspiracy to suppress the truth and keep humanity in ignorance and servitude. On the other side, mainstream academics, historians, religious scholars, they view the book as modern myth-making, religious syncretism, not a work of historical fact. Scholars trace ideas to Zecharia Sitchin, Anunnaki and Nibiru, Helena Blavatsky's theosophy, earlier Afrocentric movements. They call it a creative synthesis, a collage of pre-existing ideas. Critics emphasize the lack of empirical evidence. No archaeological proof of giant extraterrestrials mining gold, no linguistic evidence for a global language called Nuwaubian, no scientific data that melanin is a cosmic superconductor, and the academic view respects cultural significance but rejects the claim it's a literal account of history. Regardless of whether one views the Holy Tablets as sacred scripture or modern fiction, its cultural significance is undeniable. The book represents a powerful attempt to construct a new identity for a people who feel their history has been stolen, erased, misrepresented. For centuries, the dominant historical narrative in the Western world has marginalized or denigrated people of African descent. The Holy Tablets directly confronts this by offering a radical alternative, a story that places Black people at the very center of a divine cosmic drama. Creating a new origin myth is a profound statement about who gets to define a people's past and future. The power of myth gives meaning, purpose, a sense of shared identity. Ancient cultures had creation stories, tales of gods, tales of heroes that explained the world and people's place in it. In a modern context, the Holy Tablets function similarly, a comprehensive mythology for a new era, tailored to address historical and psychological wounds, grappling with the legacy of slavery and systemic racism. By claiming a celestial heritage, the book provides immense pride, self-worth, leapfrogging over painful history toward a divine origin. This dynamic highlights the complex ties between religion, politics, identity. In the end, the Holy Tablets remains a complex and provocative work. Ancient myth, modern science fiction, profound spiritual yearning. It is a book of immense scope, weaving together tales of starfaring gods, genetic engineering, cosmic warfare, prophecies of a coming transformation, penned by Dr. Malachi Z. York. It served as the foundational text for the united Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, offering them a new and empowering narrative of their origins. It replaces a history of oppression with a genealogy of divinity, recasting people of color as the direct descendants of celestial beings. The book's main ideas are as grand as they are controversial. It presents humanity as a hybrid species, earthly primates, advanced Anunnaki DNA. It teaches a form of spiritual science where melanin is a divine conductor and sound can alter reality. It divides the universe into states of 9 ether, 6 ether, and charts a course for the soul to ascend from one to the other. For those who embrace its teachings, the Holy Tablets is a source of identity, pride, ultimate truth, a guide to understanding their place in the cosmos. For those outside the circle of belief, the book is often seen as a work of modern mythology, a fascinating but factually unsupported blend of borrowed ideas. Scholars and critics point to the lack of empirical evidence and trace its concepts to various pre-existing sources. This creates a fundamental divide. One side sees a sacred revelation, while the other sees a creative but fictional synthesis. This tension highlights the book's most enduring legacy, its ability to challenge our assumptions about history, evidence, and the very nature of belief itself. The Holy Tablets forces us to confront a fundamental question about how we form our convictions and what we choose to accept as true. It pushes us to examine the line between faith and fact, between a story that provides meaning and a story that is backed by proof. The book's existence and the devotion it inspires leave us with a thought-provoking inquiry that extends far beyond its own pages. So we are left to ask ourselves, when constructing our own understanding of the world, what holds more weight? The evidence we can see and measure, or the narrative that gives our life purpose and our spirit a sense of home? Yeah, that's the question. Like, subscribe, share, and support this channel, and click in the description box below for products and services.